Hey, Goddess. Welcome to our podcast. We are Wendy Lou and Angie K, two goddesses on a journey of awakening and embodiment together, traveling hand in hand through the trials and tribulations of this roller coaster ride we call spiritual awakening and ascension.
It was only a matter of time before we started our own podcast to share what we've learned along the way as energy practitioners and spiritual entrepreneurs.
Join us twice a month as we explore metaphysical topics, spiritual awakening, collective energy updates, spiritual entrepreneurship, the divine feminine and divine masculine, and all things goddess.
Our vision and mission is to provide a safe space to express the unspoken topics of awakening the divine feminine. Our desire is to heal the generations of shame, secrecy, and illusion that have shrouded the divine feminine teachings. So we hope you join us here on our podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Hey Goddess podcast, where we are going to talk about giving and receiving. And this is very big energy in the collective right now, especially for the divine feminine, which is inherently a receiving energy. And as we know, and as we've talked about so many times in so many other episodes, for the feminine growth and the journey that the feminine is on right now, we're starting to realize how many blocks we have had to receiving in general. And, all the things, we can talk about the patriarchy till the cows come home, right? But we all know what's been going on. We all know that we've been repressed and suppressed and all the things. And now we're owning our divine femininity. And so that is opening this energy up for us to receive. And it's not necessarily an easy thing to just surrender to. And so we want to talk about this today and how you can navigate the energy that's coming in now, but also how to really sink into being in receiving mode and what it means, what's gone on in the past and where we're going with it and what it's going to mean for our future as honestly as women, as divine feminine, as change makers, right? As light workers, as entrepreneurs, as whatever you are, artists, whatever you are in this world, we're coming into our own now. And so receiving is huge. So I'm going to let Angie K take it from here. Let's just share some stories and our own insights on this
Yeah,
topic.
it's a huge topic. And we started Wealth Creation in the Goddess Society. And so Wendy and I, and anyone that's in the Goddess Society, has definitely been in the energy of feeling this sort of giving and receiving balance or imbalance that any light worker probably relates to. So I want to talk about what that can look like and how it can show up, just so we kind of can get on the same page here. But I want to do it by telling a story because something happened really recently that just took me into a deeper understanding of how deep this actually goes for us. So, and it can happen on both sides, the giving, the hesitation around giving, and then the inability to receive payment a lot of times for light workers for their gifts, but this can be across the board for other people in, any type of industry. But I'm just going to talk about how this showed up. So I had someone who had reached out to me for my services, but they felt at the time that they weren't ready to work with me. And so I referred them off, which I didn't want to leave them just with nothing. So I gave them this referral and it felt
It's
really
someone
good.
who's more aligned, right? Someone who you
Yeah. And
felt
I
was more
felt that
aligned
they
with
were more
them.
aligned
Yeah.
for the work. And so they work together. And then this person circles back to me and tells me he was so upset that he invested in himself to work with this coach. And I said, "Well, explain to me what's going on so I can understand. This is a referral partner of mine, so I would really like to know exactly what happened." And he explained his grievances to me, and none of these things are outside of the scope of coaching. The coach did a great job, exactly as a coach could do, holding the space, listening and reflecting back to help my client discover his own truth, right? So that's exactly what a good coach does. But see, this person did not see the value in that, even though he told me repeatedly about the changes he was able to make in his life, he wasn't connecting that he did that because of the coaching. He kept saying, I can do these things on my own. and things like that. And so, there is so much value in having someone hold space for you. This is why I became a coach, especially when you're in an awakening process. Because
Mm-hmm.
in an awakening process, you feel a lot of times crazy, right? Like, who are you going to talk to? Your friends, your family? No. A lot of times, and you and I have said this, Wendy, like the only person that can help you is someone that's also gone through a spiritual awakening. And so it is a very niche market, right? And it is worth its weight in gold because in those moments, you can actually feel heard. You can feel understood. And he didn't see how valuable that was. He felt that
Mm-hmm.
that should be a service he should get for free. And I am telling you, he, to me, got a great deal from this coach when he told me how much he paid. And I thought, well, I told him, I said, well, as far as pricing goes, I don't even offer this particular service that this coach gave you. And this is a great price.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you're doing really well and you've made amazing changes in your life. So I'm really happy for you. But he still could not connect that he had made the changes and to be pleased that he had spent the money in that way on himself. He really felt he should get it for free. And now this is where paying versus getting things for free comes in. And I want you to tell your story,
Yes.
but first I want to
Yeah.
say in my experience, people who pay are willing to pay for anything, right? Some sort of healing, transformation, whatever it is, right? They're willing to pay to invest in themselves. They are much more likely to have experience a huge change than people that just go to the free YouTubes, show up for all the free trainings and do all the free stuff. And the reason for that is when you put money down, it's almost like I really don't like the word sacrifice, but I'm going to use it here. It's like you're saying like I'm going to give something that's precious to me. Money is precious to us in this. It is our means of exchange.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
precious and we should treat it as such. I'm going to give something that's precious because that's how much I believe in myself to make this change, to do this transformation. And a lot of times we'll show up at a higher level because we've invested, we've said, like, I'm giving this precious thing to someone else. I trust them. I'm going to show up more. I'm going to do more. And that's why the transformation happens. If you don't pay, yes, you can get some results, but the results that you can get are much greater. I've had people come into my programs. I've told you this, Wendy, before
Mm-hmm.
that, they come in, they invest in themselves, and they don't always have the time to show up live, but they're in the energy. Their intention is being held by me, by the members of the group. They are creating the transformation, the exact transformation they came in for, but they're not always able to be live. But they
Mm-hmm.
invested and the intention was there. And that combination is so powerful.
Right.
So I loved your story that you were sharing, and that was long-winded explanation from me, but the one you were sharing about Reiki
Right.
and healing and paying versus getting something for free. That was an awesome story that you were just telling me.
Right. So, and I could be wrong, but I do remember somebody saying that it was Usui who, invented the process of Reiki as we know it, right? The actual process that you learn when you go through Reiki training. There are different kinds, but Usui is one of them. And I heard a story, whether it's true or not, the information is true, right? But it's a very lovely story where he realized, because he lived, hundreds of years ago, and he realized that when he would give his services, because he learned this method of energetic healing, he would give his services for free. 9 times out of 10, those people would not fully heal, and they'd be back for the same thing over and over and over again, wanting it for free, right? Over and over and over again. When he would insist on an exchange, and back then it was like, a chicken or something for your to survive, right? That was the exchange, which now it is money, right? It is more so money, but it wasn't always money. It was typically some kind of goods, that he would exchange with them. And so if it was a poor farmer, he'd say, oh, like a dozen eggs or whatever, and then he would trade that. He would exchange that for the healing. 10 times out of 10, those people would heal fully. And so he realized that when you invest in your own healing journey in some way by, like you said, giving something precious, like you think about a poor farmer, can they afford to give a whole chicken? Maybe not, but could they afford to continue living the way they were living without this without this opportunity to heal? No. And so they give the chicken, they give something precious to them, and they're investing. And so then they're actually going in and internalizing it and seizing that opportunity to heal and following it through. And so what you're saying is fascinating too, because we're talking about women who maybe haven't even watched a replay of a thing yet, and they're already creating it because they're
Yep.
part of the group, they're part of the energetic bubble, and it's already coming through for them. And that's just the magic of, first of all, women coming together, right? Like we could talk about that for hours. We should do an episode on that, just women coming
Yeah.
together. But because women coming together manifest 1,000 times faster for each other. But it speaks to where the energy is right now. It's like I believe, we talk about the 100th monkey or the like critical mass, however you want to think of it, right? Like when the light workers, when enough have awakened, right, then literally our DNA is awakened and it spreads like wildfire. And a lot of people are saying that that has been reached. And the only reason that it's not like seeming like it's overnight is because we have free will and we hold on and we have a healing journey to take care of, right? Versus like squirrels don't have to go through a healing journey, right? And so that free will, people always talked about, oh, it's going to be overnight. We're holding on to things, and so we're learning, and we're processing these things as we go in real time. And so the receiving energy is where I feel like it's where we're at right now as a collective, and it's one of the hardest things I think to open up to. And
Hmm.
so when he came to that realization, that he stopped giving any healing for free. And of course, I say
Yeah.
healing, he was literally just showing them what needed to be healed. And you can
Yeah.
either take that opportunity and heal it or not. I've definitely had people that I've met that I felt called to gift them a session, right?
Mhm.
And 9 times out of 10, they became regular clients after that. So it was a good
Yeah.
move, right? But it
Yeah.
has to be from the heart space, right? It has to feel aligned to do that. And so if you don't feel aligned to do that, and one thing I wanted to say too, it's like I've had a couple people that I knew who were friends, right? Never became clients because they are continually telling me that I charge too much. And what I want to say about that is there is someone else out there who charges less. We're all over the board, right? We're all over the place with pricing, and whatever feels right to you is aligned, right? Everybody, you're going to find somebody, and they're not going to be less talented or more talented or whatever. If you find somebody aligned, then you're going to receive that healing. But if you think somebody charges too much, then you're not aligned, or you're either not quite ready to invest in that part, right? And so you really kind of have to look at where you're at in your journey too. It's like, well, why am I being triggered by somebody paying for these beautiful services? And we talk about this all the time. It's like, why can doctors charge? Why can accountants charge? Why can, all these other people charge? Why do we have to pay for shoes, right? Like, why do we have to pay for things? But then you talk about spiritual gifts and people come at us like, and it's been coming up again, right? It's like the next layer of people coming up or the next level. It's like, why are you charging for these gifts when they're spiritual gifts? Well, every gift that, everything that, there are doctors who would say that that's their calling, right? It's a
Yeah.
spiritual
It
gift
is.
to become a
Mm-hmm.
doctor. They get to charge, nobody questions.
Yep.
But,
Yeah.
when it comes to light workers, then we're kind of getting this next wave of haters, right? That are essentially coming through to push us to the next level, right? And for me
Yeah.
personally, what it's doing is making me realize that it's time to raise my prices,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah,
So,
that makes me think of like the reverse coin, the energy of receiving for light workers, right? And how a lot of times then we have the opposite thing going on, which is inability to receive. But then if you
right.
think
Yep.
like based on what you were just sharing, it's an absolute disservice if we
Hmm.
can't receive for our work because then the person isn't going to get the amount of transformation that they could be getting if we charged. And so it's like this is like an important thing to embody. If you are a light worker out there using your spiritual gifts, or maybe you have some sort of other talent that you're sharing for free, but you really maybe you're feeling called like it is time to make that transition to paying, that just switches you to a professional, right? That's what professional
Mm-hmm.
means. You're getting paid for something,
Right.
right? So if you
Yep.
need to switch to professional in any area of your life, know that you're actually doing a service to the person you're providing it for because they value it more than something else. And if you think about this, like really, if you think about the way that, the coaching, healing, providing, using your spiritual gifts in a service, how profoundly this can affect people's lives. Like people come back to me after even in a decade I've been doing this stuff and say, you have no idea how you changed the trajectory of my life. It's completely different. I was open to things I never thought possible because of you. And when you hear these things, you realize like this stuff, people are willing to spend $9 on a Starbucks. Okay. Then we should, for the transformation that we're helping people with, we should have no problem receiving our value for that. But we do, as light workers, also carry that energy of am I allowed to receive for this? Am I worthy? Is it worth it? Right? Because sometimes we're talking about transformation that of course happens instantaneously. Like you said, sometimes people will join my program and the next day they're texting me, oh my gosh, I got $40,000, or oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I had this amazing job offer, it just came out of nowhere. Amazing crazy things happen just from their like saying, telling the universe like I'm committed to my growth and
Mm-hmm.
myself, right? So many light workers have trouble on the receiving side. Like, can we charge enough? Are we worth it? And it's like a part of our journey. If you are a spiritual entrepreneur, and Goddess CEO is great for this, it talks all about this stuff.
Seriously,
My
yes.
my second book, right?
Everything you need to know
If
is in that book.
you're on that journey, a lot of the up leveling that you go through, and raising your prices was the perfect thing that triggered this thought in my mind, Wendy, is around owning your value at higher and higher levels because you know the transformation you provide, right? And it's being able to speak it and share it. And then of course, another piece of it is actually being able to receive the direct value through money. That's how people can show you appreciation when you're in business.
Mm-hmm.
Because money is how we can show appreciation to people when we're exchanging services, right? That's how our world is set up.
Yeah.
And so we can't be afraid of money. We can't be afraid to use it as a means of exchange. It is the world that we are a part of. And the more money we can actually allow into our experience as light workers, the more impact we can have in the world, right? We can
Mm-hmm.
open up healing spaces that create more transformation for people. If we don't have the means to do that, then that is not possible,
Right.
right?
The
These are great ways to spend money. Money gets still going to be spent all over the world in all kinds of
right.
ways, things that help and things that don't. So why not be someone that's able to receive and able to help at an even higher level in your spiritual mission? And that is the journey, right? It's like opening
Mm-hmm.
yourself up, like I am valuable.
Right.
And the longevity helps too. Like if you can see evidence, like your ego needs that evidence sometimes, like you were
Sure.
safe, your nervous system, however you look at that, right? Your nervous system says, wow, you were safe receiving this money. Amazing. And then if you have longevity of like, a decade or maybe 20 years in business or 5 or 3 or whatever, and someone's coming back and saying, wow, this completely changed my life, then that keeps rewriting your nervous system. You're safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're totally
Mm-hmm.
safe to do this. You're totally safe to charge. And you're doing a disservice if you don't for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And you have to work through the doubt, right? You have to get to a place where you're putting yourself out there in spite of the doubt and the fear and the lack and right, all that energy. I remember
Hmm.
starting out after I got my Reiki Master certification, I was so scared, right, that I was going to do it wrong or whatever.
Hmm.
And I mean, I had a wonderful teacher and I knew what I was doing. And I think anybody who is called to do that already has a natural aptitude for hands-on healing. And so I had literally done it with my children when they were younger, not having any clue what Reiki was or energy healing or anything. I had laid hands on them, right?
Hmm.
And brought like unconditional love through. And I'd already done that my whole life. And so I was definitely pulled to do it. But I remember when I got my first couple clients, and I just, I was scared, but I did it. And then the more positive feedback you get, like you were saying, the more people that come back and say, that was really good. That was really good. I really got something from that. Then you get more at ease with it. You feel more safe in that process. And you feel more like I got to the point then where I was like, I embodied Reiki Master versus just having this thing on my wall, that I took the class and I paid the money, right? I paid the money to become that, to get that certification. But at the same time, we're also coming into a time, right, where certifications are going to mean less and less. This is all about our gifts, right? Our naturally given gifts. And, if you think about it, if you go back far enough, it's like it was just somebody who was good at what they did that created the certification program in the first place. And yes, if you're called to get a certification, absolutely. It's really fun. It's a great investment and it's, to put more feathers in your cap. And it does help us build, like you would call it, our own milkshake, right, of healing services. And so I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that don't feel like you have to have certifications in something that you're already good at to start working, to start getting clients for that thing. And so it's been this kind of whole process toward where we are right now, where it's less about the degrees on the wall and more about, okay, stepping into your gifts. Like, what are you really good at? And if you have your own, if you're, a lot of people are going to be bringing through their own modalities. In a way, everybody does that, right? But people may be bringing through their own certifications and starting their own programs like that. So it's beautiful to see that. But it's like, yeah, the receiving, I think, especially for light workers, is just been it's such a big, like overwhelming thing, right? Like we want to give, 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 give to our detriment. And, this relates to, I just wrote this parenting book and everything that we talk about is also, it can be related to parenting and how you deal with your kids. It's like we were just talking before we hit record about, when is it time to like cut the cords with your kids financially too. And so there's so many aspects of this, right? And it comes from like mom guilt, right? Like we want to pour everything we get into them because we have guilt about either our own past or something, something around, oh, we weren't perfect moms, whatever. And so we don't receive because we're so used to giving everything. And so I think not just women, but moms especially have trouble getting into that receiving mode. Then it becomes something that's hard to do in every aspect of your life. So even if you're a
Yeah.
working mom, it's like, okay, I can't, well, I give and give and give at home. I go to work, I give and give and give. And if you think about it, how many decades have we been complaining about that when we were creating it in our
Yeah.
own lives?
We were. And I think society has perpetuated the patriarchy, like you said, or whatever we want to call
Absolutely.
it. I know that's very
Right.
triggering for some people,
Right. It's a
but
buzzword, right?
it
But
it's a buzzword. But at the same time, the societal conditioning was it's important for women to constantly be giving at their own detriment. I mean, I thought of the Giving Tree book when you said that. And at
oh
the
yeah.
end, he cuts down the tree for the tree is gone. Like she has given all of herself to the point of her own death.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I mean,
Yep.
sad, right? But that's really how the book ends. Like that's how much she gave. There's another concept that this is making me think of, and it's the concept of, as a business owner, entrepreneur, any kind of innovator, artist, whatever, right? That when you create something and you put it out there and you just feel so guided, right? Like you put it out there and maybe you charge a little bit or you don't charge, but it's just something that it's like from the heart, like you said, like
Motivation is high,
really
right?
coming.
Yep.
Yeah, like earlier you said from the heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the motivation is there and the inspiration is there, and you put it out there and you're not receiving direct income from that particular thing. However, the universe is bringing you income from other sources,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that can be really funny because there's been times that, and I'm just going to use a personal example of my business where I've put a master class out or something, right? And you know how much goes into that for me, Wendy, because Wendy helps me with some editing and copywriting services, which most of you know because I always mention it about my books. So she helps me with writing pieces and she knows what I put into these things. So, so a lot of so I shouldn't say every time, but this has happened where then, of course, I get great feedback about the master class, and then, some people want to find out more. They want to become clients and things like that, and they want to do more of the work together. Yet sometimes people come to me suddenly that don't even know about the master class. They
But
haven't
like
even
right
gone to it. They don't
after.
even know I did it. They might be
Right.
like, "Oh, I'm not online, but I really want to
Right.
work with you. I remember what you do." And suddenly I'm doing meetings with them and they're the ones signing up. And that's what's just really funny to note. Like, whatever you give, it doesn't matter. Like, however you felt called to give, and that can be in a monetary sense or whatever, you paid for some service or something, and maybe you didn't feel like you received exactly back what you thought you would, like in the masterclass situation. Like, I wasn't receiving exactly back from the people I gave to in the masterclass, but I was receiving from another spot. So sometimes that's the key, is like opening yourself
Right.
up to just being in that energy of like, yes, I feel called to give, and that can be money or time or resources or whatever, but then opening up to the fact that the universe does want you to receive from that. And then it could be in a
Right.
completely different way than what you're thinking, which
Right.
is a big concept that I do write about again in Got a CEO. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
resonating with what we're saying, definitely grab the book. We'll put the link in the comments because it
Yes.
it definitely falls. That wasn't the intention of this podcast, but it falls in line with
But
everything we're
yeah.
sharing today. Yeah.
But
So
it's how
I wanted to
you're,
throw that in there because it definitely
yeah.
reminded me of those situations that I've had. And I think they happen to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Right. And so basically you're saying it's not how or when or to who or even where you're giving. It's just that you're giving. And
Yep.
then that receive and then to be open to receive because it's going to come from possibly unlikely places,
Yeah.
not specifically where you might have given, but you're
Yeah.
just opening yourself up to that expanded receiving.
Exactly. And I think where people get blocked is because it didn't come from the exact way that they gave. And so
Right.
then they don't allow in the other things. I call them the neighborhood cats. You know this, Wendy. I call
I
this
love
the
this one. Yeah.
neighborhood cats.
Hmm.
This is the neighborhood cats phenomenon, right?
Hmm.
Like, so you could be focused on, you know, all these other cats or whatever, right? You're focusing on the cats that are in your house or something. And then all of a sudden, these random cats will show up, right? Like, you're calling the name, like, here's a perfect example. You're calling the name of your own cat because they're outside and you can't find them. But what
Right.
happens is two neighbor cats actually show up on your porch. It's like
Hmm.
that, right?
Right.
It's
Because
like
it's not
you're looking
the
for the thing.
name they're responding to, it's the energy that you're calling to a
Exactly.
cat.
Yes.
So
Calling
a
to a
cat
cat, and
is
here we
coming.
are.
There you go. Two cats. There you go.
So the neighborhood cats phenomenon. Yeah.
Love
So it's
it.
just to be open. So your money channels can be like neighborhood cats, where you thought like, no, I have
Let
all
all
my
the
eggs in
cats
this
in.
basket. It has to be over here. But actually,
Right.
there's a bunch of other eggs that are trying to go into your basket from other
Yeah.
places. And those are the
Yes.
the random cats.
Absolutely. Let all the cats in.
But yes, be open to the just be a crazy cat lady.
Be
That's the
the
point.
crazy cat lady. That's the whole point. I love it.
We do need to be remembering ourselves and taking care of and giving to ourselves and opening up that receiving channel again. Because with, the oppression of women, what's happened for centuries, taking away that idea that we're these magnificent receivers actually was a way to keep us weak. We
Right.
magnetize, that's what women do. And we are magical and we can magnetize money and resources and people and things. It's different for men. Men show up in a different way to receive things. They provide a different type of work. And this isn't across the board everyone, but
Right.
typically women, if they resonate with what I'm saying, their mode is more magnetizing.
Right.
And that's a lot. It's in Got a CEO, right? A lot of
Right.
this is in Got a CEO. But I love
Yeah.
something else you said, which is money is a tool for growth. And this is just a mindset shift that I learned years ago from my hand analysis teacher that I loved because I had always thought, and a lot of light workers too, money, it's a pain in the butt. It's this thing we need in this experience. And gosh, why does it have to be part of this? Very frustrating, blah, blah, blah. But she said, and this just blew my mind, and it was triggering at the same time as it blew my mind. Money is a tool for growth in our experience. Without money, you would not discover your gifts because you wouldn't be put in the place where you had to get creative, you had to get innovative. You wouldn't be up against a wall because you had to pay your bills, you had to keep the lights on, you had to put food on the table, where you got creative and you said, you know what, I'm going to try this thing and see what happens. This is what moves society forward. Think about it. This is where innovation comes from. This is
Mm-hmm.
where breakthroughs and inventions come from, is because someone said, I need to keep the lights on. Let's
Mm-hmm.
figure this out. I mean, that's basic survival. But if you think like how money is a tool for growth and switch it from money to the pain in the butt, money and putting all these
Right. All
negative,
that
like the things
negative.
that
Yeah.
people put on money, it's evil, right? No, if we switch it, it's so powerful that way. And you will forever see it differently as something that allows you to grow to new heights because it just like everything, it shifts and changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a shift like, oh, this was working before, oh, it's not working the same. Okay, let's back to the drawing board.
Right.
What new gift am I going to discover because I need to shift again around what I'm putting out there. So
Right.
especially for entrepreneurs, anyone on the journey of entrepreneurship understands what I'm saying, probably at the greater level than anyone who has not had that experience. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to share that because it reminded me of what you were saying.
A lot of people who have brought beautiful new things, new ways of living, inventions into the world, they didn't have the money first. They didn't have a big investors. They didn't have, these backers. They created the thing first. And this is one thing that I'm seeing a lot lately. There was a meme that
I'm
was
getting
going around
chills.
that was like, yeah, there was like, in a world that seems like it's falling apart, create. Go into creative mode and just create. And that's the way forward, right? And you were
Mm.
talking about too that money is not evil, and we have that saying, money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. You know what the root of all evil is disconnection. Disconnection from self, disconnection from source, which is the same thing, right? And it's not even, I don't even like the word evil, but it's definitely not money. Money is just energy. And money, when we put out there, like you were saying, all that negative, how many decades and maybe even longer have we had a love-hate relationship with money? And somebody once said to me, think of it as your closest relationship with another human being. How would they feel if you were constantly telling them how they were betraying you and abandoning you, and when all they were trying to do was show up for you and take care of you? But you're constantly telling them how much you love and hate them at the same time. It's like that's not going to be received well, right? And so you have to think of money as a relationship. And how do you want it, however you want money to respond to you is how you're going to, what energy you're going to put out there for money. Money ultimately is just an energy, but any energy in this reality wants to fulfill its full potential, right? It wants to keep flowing. It wants to keep moving. It wants essentially to take care of us and to give us everything that we want.
Investing in yourself, you always get that back in a return somehow. You may not know exactly how, but I love what you were saying. Like the people that have the inventions, like I'm just thinking of like the movie about Apple, Apple phones and
I was
computers and
just
everything.
thinking
And he
about
was
that
in
one
his
too.
garage, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
just remembering the first part of the movie. He's in his garage and he's just working there, right? Steve Jobs, right?
He had a dream,
And
right? He had a dream.
he had a dream. And it's like a lot of these people don't have the financial backing, just like, entrepreneurs that are in startups, like all over the world, right? But they have the energy to put towards it. And sometimes they have to take out a loan to invest in their dream, right? But that loan is also a gift from the universe. You're also saying, like,
Absolutely. That
I
is abundance.
believe in myself. And even if whatever you invested in isn't the place where this comes through, that investment will come through for you. There is
Hmm.
no other way. That comes back to you. So to sit around being frustrated because this or that didn't work out, this investment you put in, even circling back to how that person was feeling that was sharing with me about coaching at the very beginning when I was talking about,
Right. Yeah.
even if, and I saw all of the gifts that they received, but even if they don't see that, that still comes back to them multiplied, right? Like when you invest in yourself,
Mm,
it's not just about that $1,000 that you invested. It's about the, you know, tens of thousands of dollars that come back to you because you
right.
invested, because you believed in yourself that much.
And I love how
So,
you've said in the past too that whenever you put yourself first, the universe will
mm,
reward you.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. The universe does if it I think that the statement was anytime you take um
Aligned
like
action.
yeah, like one step towards the universe, whatever you want to call it, God, higher self,
Source. Yeah,
anything, source,
sure.
it takes 5 steps towards you, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I
So,
like it.
yeah.
We're so excited for Lightworkers to really step into this receiving mode because it's time.
Hmm.
It's time for us to really put ourselves out there and to let go of that fear of how am I going to keep the lights on, right? And just to tune into the passion of what you came here to create, what you came here to bring through. And I think we're doing better too across the board of taking care of each other, of supporting each other, of lifting each other up, of sharing each other's gifts and services, right? So just
Yeah,
keep doing
referring each
that,
other.
keep doing that, but you know don't give to your detriment to other light workers either, right? I've definitely been known to do that too, where I just have been lifting other light workers up and then denying my own gifts. So we're all stepping into our power right
Yeah.
now, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So yeah,
Yeah, it's the next level of giving and receiving definitely is what's happening here.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's
So,
not about the money, right? It's about the exchange, and it's about the receiving and the
yeah,
balancing, the giving and receiving.
absolutely.
So wonderful. All right, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody, for listening, for watching. Please, if you haven't already, check out our other episodes, and we will have many more to come. And we will see you next time. Bye, Goddess.
Bye, goddess.